Quaint and Cozy KC. We are on season 3, episode 4 of Quaint and Cozy KC. And I know I've kind of been on a little bit of a delay because I'm like running around town and doing all these things, and I've got this major list of tasks that I have to kind of get done for my like outside grown-up life. But I was like, listen, I got a Friday night because it's a Friday night that I'm actually, at home where kind of do that Friday night thing where you're shredding papers, you're kind of doing that extra bit of cleaning. I have this cleaning routine, and I clean throughout the week. I work from home, so on my lunch breaks, I'll put dishes in the dishwasher, wipe down the counters, do that kind of thing, do some laundry. But then, on those extra Friday nights, or maybe even like a weeknight, I've got a couple of hours. You can find me like trying to shred papers, kind of like dusting, doing all those extra things that can kind of, pile up during the week, right? Or 2 weeks, if I'm really honest with you. But I did want to tell you that last week I had the most magical time exploring Excelsior Springs, Missouri. Now you're like, what? That doesn't sound glamorous or cozy, but it actually is. I'm kind of on this, not a kick, but this lifestyle shift. If you've been listening to my show, or you've kind of been following me, or you know me in real life, you know that I have lived in I've lived in Minnesota, Kansas, Missouri, Rhode Island, Pennsylvania for like a little bit after college. I lived in California. I lived in New Mexico. So I've lived all around. I moved back to the Kansas City area back in 2012. It was a huge adjustment for me because I was just so used to like seeing an ocean or a mountains or something like that. And that was not my reality, living back in Kansas City. So, and so probably like a few years ago, my mom basically kind of got tired of me whining, and she's like, listen, we've got the museums, we've got those historical societies and libraries, and we don't have oceans, but we have rivers and lakes, and you can, you need to get over yourself. And I'm like, what? But she was right. And there are so many great things here in the Kansas City area. And if you're watching from outside of Kansas City, if you're in a Midwestern city or something like that, I'm sure maybe you're like me, you had to move back. And then you're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? This is such a culture shock again. There are lots of places, especially now in 2025, to explore, and they don't necessarily have to break the bank. And sometimes it's just shifting your mentality. So I'll get back to Excelsior Springs. So I've been trying to go to Excelsior Springs, Missouri. And it's kind of like in the Northland area. It's a little past Northland if you're familiar with Kansas City, and it's only like a half an hour away from where I live. And I was like, I'm too busy. Or then I would like make a list of all the things I wanted to do, and it was very overwhelming. And I think when you're on your quaint and cozy journey, it's like there's so many things you want to do because you're just like now settling into this life that's not necessarily flashy lights, and it's not necessarily late nights, although I do, go out and everything like that. Some of my friends say, well, your lifestyle is kind of meant to, you can live your lifestyle from like 7 in the morning till 5 o'clock, and you can be like home in your pajamas by 6 p.m. I'm like, you can if you're doing it right. Although I do kind of like, I admit I like to socialize past 6 p.m. sometimes. But, for those who want to socialize but don't want to drive at night, and again, as I get older, I'm like, man, this driving at night on 435 North, it's not my favorite thing to do. Heck, sometimes even taking the side streets aren't my favorite thing to do at night. Hello, Lexus Lakeside Plants. I hope you're doing well. I'm really actually excited to kind of start my planting journey. I know I can't do anything until like Mother's Day. Fingers crossed we can get that together, because sometimes if you're in the Kansas City area, you never know. You get that fall, spring, you see those tulips coming up. My parents, who are now deceased, have passed on. They were both, my dad was April 1st, my mom was April 2nd. And so I always remember as a kid, my dad bringing my mom tulips, and there were always tulips growing in our neighborhood, and even in our yard, we had tulips. And that was like, I always associate like early April, late March with tulips. But you guys, you can't, like tulips are like a rare kind of thing that'll kind of like come up, and then, you get all complacent, and then it snows the next week. So I am waiting, but I really am into plants. And even though my mom was a kindergarten teacher and she could bring anything back to life, before she passed away, she's like, I think you should really kind of get into plants, but maybe don't do like the big kind of plants. Get like a peace lily, get like, some herbs, do that kind of stuff. And so far I have 6 plants, and 4 of them are thriving. 2 of them, I don't know, we're going to kind of give it a little bit more time because they kind of come back and forth. I've got an English lavender plant that was gifted to me a few years ago, and it comes and goes. Then I've got this rosemary plant, and it is like it like I swear every 2 weeks it's like on its last leg. So I don't know. I mean, fingers crossed I don't have to like replace those 2 plants, because I have gotten fond of taking care of them. Okay, back on to my Excelsior Springs adventure. So, I made a huge list of things I wanted to do. There's a really cool hotel there called the Elms, and it's supposed to be haunted. And there are a couple other really cool restaurants, but I was like, okay. Then they have a cute downtown, and I'm like, I only had a few hours because I actually had plans. After that, I went to see Captain America, and then I went to dinner on Johnson County, and that's a whole, I'll get to that next. So I only had a few hours. I couldn't just do that lazy kind of, exploring where you can explore for 4 or 5 hours and be done. And I also wanted to see their museum, but because I got there early and the museum opened at 11 and my movie started at 12 and it's way on the other side of Kansas City, I had to make some sacrifices. So what I did was I ate at a place. It's kind of like, they call it like Ray's Diner, and well, I think it's called something else, but somebody was calling it Ray's Diner to me. But anyways, it's in downtown, and it's been there forever, since the 1940s, in downtown Excelsior Springs. And so I was like, oh wow, and there was plenty of parking. I think part of it is because we're in March, and I imagine in the summertime when the weather warms up, I think that you're gonna find more traffic. So when I say that parking was easy, it was easy for early March. Now next month or in May, it might be kind of like a Weston situation where everybody shows up. But the downtown has some great architecture, lots of brick buildings. I like brick, and I like that stone kind of masonry. There were like retail shops nestled in with, coffee shops and other cafes. And then there were some event spaces that I saw as well. And there was like even like a local theater that was down, and I was like, is that in a church or some kind? It looked like a church that it was located in, a former church. I could be wrong. And I think they were doing a play, and I wasn't able to. I was like, dang it, this musical. I wasn't able to make that musical because, again, I had all the other things that I was planning to do on Saturday. And that's something else. If you're a quaint and cozy lifestyle kind of person, hello, Mason, Julianne, I hope I'm saying that right, and Quartertilius USD. Okay, I think I'm saying that right. I don't have my glasses on. And then Carolina Reyes, hello, welcome. This is Quaint and Cozy KC. I'm in Kansas City. I'm talking to you about all the Quaint and Cozy KC things. It's a podcast that I do like every week or bi-weekly. And I just kind of talk about my adventures here. My goal with this podcast is, because I am 50, I'll be 51 next month. And my goal with this podcast is to kind of like show people that even if you're in a smaller town or a mid-sized city, there are pockets where you can go that you're going to get this nice touristy feel, even though you're like in the middle of a city that you live in all the time. So Excelsior Springs, Missouri is like that because it's got that cute downtown brick vintage feel to it. There's lots of nice streets you can walk. There's like 4 block, I would even say 6, 7, or 8, but like there's a main street. I think it's Broadway. You can just walk down there and see everything. There's some nice views over there. And there's like kind of, I think it's like the water department or something. And that's got a really nice building. And then behind it, there's like a cigar shop, which is kind of cool. And then there was like a coffee shop. And so, again, I was there and I had to leave by 11 a.m. to make my 12 p.m. movie in Merriam, which is on the other side of Kansas City. But there's a museum there and a historical society, and it's on my list. I'm actually going to swing back by there. I thought about coming back for tomorrow, but then I thought, you know what? Atchison, Kansas, I've been trying to go there forever. So I'm going to go explore Atchison, all their museums. I don't have a time limit tomorrow like I did last week. And then for Excelsior Springs, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go back there, in a couple of weeks and check that out, because they have the museum that I wasn't open when I was there. And then also the Elms Hotel, which I want to check out. And there's some cute little restaurants, like cute little places I want to kind of check out, take pictures. And, I like to take a lot of pictures. I'm probably, if you follow me on Quaint and Cozy KC on Facebook, you're going to see that or even on TikTok, I do a lot of the slideshows. you're going to see that I have a lot of pictures in those albums. And, you know, my mom, you know, as she got older, it was harder for her to move around, but she really did appreciate all the pictures that I was posting, because she said it felt like she was there too. And then, you know, now that she's gone, it really makes me think of, you know, there's a lot of other people that maybe they're not as mobile as they once were, or maybe they've got kids they're watching. It's just hard to take all the kids out, or whatever it is. They can't get out to see it for themselves. And so I take pictures with that in mind. So if you see me geeking, you're like, dang, she's geeking out over this little like plaque on a brick building. I do that. But I find out a lot of people that follow me, they like that kind of stuff as well. Now, if you're new again to my podcast, the Quaint and Cozy lifestyle is really just, it's a quieter lifestyle. It doesn't mean you're sitting around at home all the time, unless you want to do that. It means you're out there enjoying things that aren't as flashy, like walking around the Arboretum, like I did at the Overland Park Arboretum for the first time, and then last year. And then also there are tea shops that I like to explore, and museums and historical societies, and, you know, food tastings and wine tastings. They actually do have tea tastings as well. I like to go see plays. I like to go hear historical lecturers speak. All the things you can think of, museums, historical societies, archives, all of that stuff you can think of. Think PBS, right? All the PBS kind of stuff from back in the day, when if you're of a certain age, you can remember PBS would get down and gritty with all the history stuff. And I would get all geeked up about it. Just all the places that you can think of that have that kind of lifestyle. I say that I'm in my auntie era, my Midwestern Jessica Fletcher, even though she was from the East Coast, her character was auntie era. That's where I'm at. And so, you know, when I saw something about daytime brunches, where people were like doing these daytime brunches, and because I'm a Gen Xer, and it was like daytime brunch. And then it was like it's, I guess, starts at 10 a.m. or something, or like earlier than that. But the DJ comes in at 10 a.m. and people like getting lit until about 3 or 4 o'clock. And then they like leave. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's perfect. You can go have fun. And then you're home by 5 p.m. I mean, ideally it would be Saturday to do that, just because Sunday you still have to wrap up a couple of things, like all that stuff. But yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, it's all about the daytime. And that's, I mean, again, I think in my next kind of iteration, I would love to have like a raucous kind of daytime lounge thing that, you know, I hang out, I do all the stuff, and then I close it at 3 o'clock. Everyone's like, yeah. And then 2:30 people start gathering up their stuff, and, you know, I close down the place and I'm home by 4:30, something like that. But speaking of lounges, now I do have a podcast called Aunt Lainey's Kitchen, which I will be recording in the next couple of days. I'll record the next episode. If you are familiar with that, I have an episode with Dr. V, and she is one of the instructors at the Green Hills Culinary Center. It's like the library culinary center up north, North Kansas City, at that branch. And you can sign up for, if you go to the Mid-Continent, I think the Mid-Continent Library, you just kind of sign up for their events there, and sometimes you get waitlisted. You can also show up to those things as well. So she's on there, part 1, because we got to talking. Because I told her, it's going to not be more than 30 minutes. Y'all, we were talking for an hour and 10 minutes. So I'm going to have to cut it into, maybe I'll cut it into 2 more parts or 1 part. But we were chatting, and I was like, oh my gosh, I got to go. She had stuff to do after the interview. I had stuff to do, but we just kept chatting. So if you listen to that, it's going to be 2 of your aunties just chatting about food and laughing and giggling and that kind of stuff that kind of makes you feel kind of warm and cozy inside, right? And that's really what, again, it's all about for me with the Quaint and Cozy thing. But then I wanted to talk about, I'm switching around because I'm that auntie that does that. So when I mentioned the lounge thing, there's a place called NYX Lounge, and it's in the Gladstone area. It's north of the river, and it is the perfect before spot. Now, I have Aunt Lainey's Kitchen. That's where I usually review the food and drink stuff. But I'm going to kind of make an exception here because I feel like Quaint and Cozy activities could happen there too. They're building a deck right now. They just did a soft opening. They're building a deck right now, but it is open. So basically, to me, it's that place where you go in kind of the early afternoon. And I think on the weekends they close at 9 or 10. And I think the weeknights it might be 7 or 8. But it's a nice happy hour spot. They do have nibble boards, so it's not a full-on meal. But sometimes, you know, if you're like, hey, I ate a big lunch, I want to meet with my friends, I don't want to deal with parking, I don't want to deal with a situation where it's so big that you got to walk so far for parking. You can park out front. We like that. It's a really mellow kind of way to unwind. They do have nibble boards. They're a cocktail lounge that has mocktails, but not just mocktails. They've got juice and sodas and all that other stuff as well. So to me, that's really important, because sometimes you don't feel like a mocktail. Sometimes you just kind of want a soda, or you just want like a little bit of juice. And so I actually went there a couple of weeks ago, and I wanted to actually try a cocktail, but because of the allergies that I had. Hello, Karen Garner Jones. I hope you're doing well. And Lumpy7077, thank you for stopping by. So, you know, I felt like I wanted to do it, but I had to take this allergy medicine. I didn't want to risk taking the allergy medicine with alcohol. And so I was like, I'm just going to pass on that. So they made me this really nice raspberry mocktail. I had like this splash of raspberry. It was lemon with a splash of like a raspberry. It was so good. And I sat, they had a fireplace, they have a TV. It literally is like being at a lounge. We all have that friend that has that kind of vibe. Maybe you're that friend where you go to their house and you go either before everybody goes out, right? Remember those days? You go to their house, maybe like 7, everyone's pretty much already eaten a major dinner, but maybe you want to nibble on some things. You go there, you're watching a little TV, you're just hanging out until it's time to go to the movie or go to the play or whatever. So you're there, you hang out for a little bit, and then you go on. Also, it's in downtown Gladstone. It's near, well, I guess it is technically in downtown Gladstone. There's a couple of restaurants in that area. So to me, it's a great way to kind of go, like, let's say your reservation's at 7 p.m., but you're like, hey, you know what? I got the sitter. Let's just get out. Let's go hang out. Let's meet up someplace. NYX Lounge is the before spot. I would also say if you're doing a lot of daytime things where you do that lunch, then you see the movie and you're like, I'm not super hungry, but I can eat a little bit. I'm not ready to go home yet. Then NYX Lounge, you can go in there. And a lot of, like when I do my matinee movies, I'm doing them around 11 or 12. So a lot of times, because they play in commercials in these movies, it's like they do the commercials, then they do the trivia, then they do the coming soon. But then now what they're doing is they're putting commercials in between the previews now. And so you're like, wait, what? What's going on? They're not really delineating those. So you're like, wait, is that a commercial? What is that? And so if you're doing that and then you get out of the movie around 3 o'clock or something like that, and then you're like, you know what? Maybe I'll go to a sandwich shop or something. I don't know. Or maybe I'm really not needing a sandwich. I'm going to go ahead and go to NYX Lounge, hang out, have a couple nibbles, and then maybe eat like later that night. Perfect place for that. So the matinee, capping it off, that's like your day cap, right? Instead of a nightcap, that's your day cap before you go home and get into pajamas. Or if you're going out before you go to dinner, great before spot to go. And then you can come back because they stay open at this time on the weekends. I think it's 10 o'clock. So if you get out of dinner around 8:30 and you're not quite ready to go home, maybe the sitter is like, you got that sitter till 11. You're like, you know what? Let's go someplace mellow. It's not going to be all loud and raucous. It's nice and mellow, right? It's just kind of a different kind of a quieter crowd for that kind of quiet, kind of night that you want to have, where we're just like, oh, hey, you got people in town. You don't want to do anything too fancy. They don't want to like stay out too late, but they actually want to get dressed up and look cute, right? Or look handsome, whatever it is. Great place for you to kind of go sit, nibble board, all of it. Okay. So I love places like that. We don't have enough of those places. I am a college kid from the 90s, and I can remember having those lounges where you kind of went and you went before the dinner or before the show. And sometimes it was after. You could go after the show. They're probably open for like a couple hours. You could just kind of sit, decompress, kind of talk about the night that you had, and then go home. The people running it are great. And again, mellow place. I highly recommend it because I think it's just got that nice, quaint and cozy thing. They've got board games there. You could go play cards there. Just like, like a mellow kind of thing. You want to get out of your house And okay, I've waxed enough about NYX Lounge, but I got there and I was like, oh my gosh, I just felt everything, I just felt myself relax, and just a great place to go. And I'm sure when you're thinking about this, me talking about this, wherever you're at, I'm sure there's some lounges that you like to go to, or maybe some coffee shops. I've been noticing coffee shops staying open a little bit later. I think there was a trend where sometimes there'd be coffee shops that stayed open until 10 because they had like a lot of people, you know, they had like musicians coming in, and then they started closing at 6. And now I'm noticing some of these coffee shops are staying open till like 7 or 8. And that's, again, coffee shops are a nice, quaint and cozy vibe to do. And you can kind of go out, and a lot of them are serving cocktails and mocktails as well. And they have, you know, they've got, some of them have full on menus, right? I mean, they're simple. You're not going to get like a wide variety, but you can get like a nice sandwich. You can get like, even some of them have like little mini pizzas that they're making. Just, you know, like things to kind of eat while you're listening to the acoustic guitar, or poetry readings that are happening at coffee shops again. Something else that I'm getting really excited for is like, there are a couple of independent bookstores that I want to check out in the area. And so I'm kind of like, you know, I'm going to go do my Google search. I've definitely been to Basement Books KC. So I plan on going back to them there in downtown Liberty. There's a couple, like I think there's a bookstore in QCKC, I think in the Strawberry Hill neighborhood. And y'all, I have not been to the Strawberry Hill neighborhood in decades. So that's another one that's going to be on my list of places to kind of check out. I had somebody last week ask me about Excelsior Springs, like, you just pick these places and you just kind of go, and they were very shocked that I would do this on my own. And I'm like, yeah, you know what I do, and this is how I do it. I look up museums. That's my initial thing, because I'm trying to hit all the smaller museums. I look up museums or historical societies or archives that are open, and that's how I choose. And I have not been to the museum in Excelsior Springs, so I'm like, oh my, perfect. So that's what I'm gonna do. And then, you know, once I kind of hit that museum circuit, I'll probably be adding like the bookstores on there as well, like the independent bookstores. I did go to Rainy Day Books, and I hadn't been there in years. And that's in Fairway, Kansas. That's like in Johnson County near Prairie Village, if you're kind of like a book person. And I kind of like it. Parking can be a little challenging, but I kind of like it. And there's like this coffee shop that's not very far away from it that you can kind of go and walk to. And like, I mean, I definitely appreciate that. And because that's, again, a quaint and cozy day. You're in a bookstore hanging out. And then you go to a coffee shop to kind of like, you know, finish it off. Maybe walk around if it's like, you know, like a nice little neighborhood, or like, because I like to see brick, and I like to kind of like walk around the little shops and kind of peek in. So that's how I make those decisions. That's how I do that. And Atchison has so many museums. I'm kind of going back to Atchison. I'm so used to people that listen to me. They know that I'm going to tell a story, and then I'm going to come on back to the first story I was telling. So with Atchison, there's like 3 museums that I want to check out. Like they have their you know, their county museum. They've got a couple of Amelia Earhart kind of museums that I want to check out. There's some restaurants that are kind of like on the river that I want to check out. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get there early tomorrow. And my plan is to stay there till like 3 or 4. We'll see. I might be able to get through things a lot faster, or what I might do. And this is one thing that's hard. What I'm so used to, when you travel and you're traveling far away, you're trying to hit everything you can hit because you're flying out or you're driving like far away. But, you know, because these things are in my neck of the woods, you know, like, I mean, Atchison is like an hour away from me, but still it's like, you know, it's doable. I don't have to go to everything that day because I can always come back. I can always double back. And that's one thing I do kind of want to encourage people to do. Like, if you feel like, oh my gosh, there's all this stuff and you're feeling yourself get overwhelmed, just do part of it. Like I did last week in Excelsior Springs, just do part of it. So hopefully I can get everything done in Atchison as I tell you that, because I do like to kind of race through because I've got this long list. But if not, there's no law saying I can't double back and see the things that I didn't get to see. But for sure, the museums are the highest priority. That's really important when you're doing kind of these tours, to have something that's the highest the highest priority. Like, you got to see it no matter what. And you know, once you see those things, you see how you feel. Hey, do you have enough energy to go check out something else? If not, you know, make a list and of look, hey, I didn't make it to that, and go on with your life. So I, every year, probably since 2022, or maybe it was 2023 for sure, I go to the farmers markets, and I've been hitting up farmers markets that I haven't been to, although I do have my favorites like Gladstone, and that's like a cute little, I like the Gladstone farmers market because it's kind of like doing a pickup from your local store, because you got your, like, you got all the people out there, and you've got like the crafters out there, and you kind of go and you kind of know whose produce you like the scapes on this one, and then you like the tomatoes of this person, all of that. You go, you pick it up, and if you go like around the time that the museum is open, the Atkins Johnson Museum, you can go, tool over there and kind of look at their latest display. And I love it, like the farm, like walking around, all that stuff. It's kind of like, to me, it's like this major field trip. Like I can turn that into a 90-minute field trip, going to Atkins Johnson Farm and going to the Gladstone Farmers Market. Now, I also go to historic Downtown Liberty Farmers Market. I like them as well. And then I've been to the Lee Summit one because I have family out there, and I've been to the Grandview one, and that's a smaller one as well. I put farmers markets in certain categories. Now, there's farmers markets like Overland Park and Liberty, and there's another one where it's more of kind of like the City Market, where you're going there and you're going there for an experience. So you're going to be there for a while. You're not just, I'm just going to pick this up at the farm. No, you're going there for at least a couple of hours, and you're going to walk around all the shops, all that stuff. But the farmers markets like Grandview and Gladstone, and even the ones in Olathe, like, you're going there, you're going to see people, you're going to kind of do things, but it's kind of like you can get in and out of there within 30, 40 minutes tops. I mean, there's cool things to see, don't get me wrong. And there's musicians at all of them, but you're going to get in and out of there. And also Parkville is another one. Although Parkville, I think, is expanding, but still, there's a lot going on. There's a park around there that you can walk around and all that. But I think like it's just one of those things where you kind of have to know what kind of farmers market you're going to. So definitely research it, and always wear comfortable shoes. That's really key. I'll talk more about farmers markets as it gets closer. I'm so excited. I'm like, yay, the farmers market. But I do have goals. I have not been to the Atchison Farmers Market. I went to the Ottawa one. I've been to the one in Ottawa, but I have not been to the one in Atchison. And there's some ones that happen on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and it's hard for me to get to because I do work an 8 to 5 job. I do work from home though, but it's 8 to 5, and some of these places are open from 4 to 7. Now, some of them I can get to and I can still have time to kind of hang out, but others, it's like a challenge. I'd have to take some time off. And I might do that this year. There's a couple that I want to hit, but it's just so hard to kind of get up there. By the time I get up there, there's only 30 more minutes of the farmers market to see. And so that's something I'm probably going to have to make a couple of special trips this summer to kind of check some of these Wednesday night and Thursday night ones out. But I understand, because the way the market is if everything's on Saturday, then it's hard to get everybody, where they need to be. And, but I do think that, I know some of them have things like, in the wintertime, they have something maybe once a month inside. So again, I appreciate that too, but I would love for there to be this dedicated in the Kansas City area, just a couple of dedicated farmers markets that happen in all year round. And I know the Independence one kind of does as well, but just something where it's you go there, it's all year round. You kind of know that on Saturdays, it's, you can go there and in the winter time and get what you need, I guess stuff in season. But yeah, I would love to have that. When I lived in New Mexico, they had that in Santa Fe, and it could be different because that was years ago, but they had that. It was all year round, but it was inside, they were outside, and then they would just move it inside when it got cold outside. So I would love to kind of see, something like that, definitely something like that. And so, yes, farmers markets. I feel like I went through all these different topics because usually I have my notebook, and I'm going off this thing, and I'm yeah. But this is a little bit more freestyle because I did owe everybody a podcast. I just was, running around trying to make that happen. I will end the show I am on my last episode of With Love from Megan, the Megan Sussex Netflix show. Oh my gosh, you guys. And I know she gets a lot of hate, and it's a whole bunch of things that I don't want to get into, but I really like the show, especially now with everything going on. It's got a nice vibe, And I mean, she did film it when, she's in California. So she filmed it, and I think it was filmed in like warmer weather, but still, it's a nice little reprieve. And it reminds me of, I saw a TikToker say it, and I was like, as I was watching the show, I was thinking it, but I didn't know how to articulate it, but it reminds me of those old school Food Network shows, those old school cooking channel shows. Show my age there, because I don't even know if the cooking channel is still around like that, but it's like, because it's filmed like with using like kind of like film, and it's not like video recording or anything like that. And it's like this whole lifestyle thing where people come to your house and you cook for them and you tell stories. And is it a little scripted? Yes, but I still liked those shows because there's something kind of precious. And when I mean precious, I don't mean like pretentious precious, but there's something about gathering with friends and family. Even if you're just watching other people do it, it inspires you to be like, you know what? Watching this show, why don't I get like a brunch together? Or if I'm not going to do it in my house or someone's house, maybe I could go out and meet somebody, meet people out. We can do like a picnic breakfast, or, go to a coffee shop, or like, walk around. Obviously the farmers markets are not here yet, but or walk around a farmers market, just that kind of thing, just connecting with people for a little bit. And as I've gotten older, when we're younger, it's like, oh yeah, you could do breakfast with someone, y'all, and you end up hanging out with them until 3 p.m. You do breakfast, then y'all go and do lunch. And then you're like, oh, should we do something else? What are you doing for dinner tonight? Then you guys go home, shower, rest, and come back out for dinner. Like, you do all that stuff. But as you get older, it gets a little bit more difficult to kind of do that. And people are so busy. So you kind of have to take those little like pockets of time and slices of time. And farmers market's a great way to walk around for like 45 minutes and talk, with your coffees or your teas or whatever, look at some things, take some pictures, and just kind of, be in this space where you're not distracted by your phones per se, unless you're taking a lot of pictures. But you know what I'm saying? You're not like, oh, I got to like scroll on the gram. I got to get on this TikTok thing. You're not doing that. You're just really talking to each other. And I definitely notice when I go to farmers markets and I meet people there and we're talking, even if we only hang out for like 45 minutes to an hour, it's so much fun. I feel like we catch up, we kind of catch our breath, and it's just fun to kind of walk around and see all the fruit and vegetables and not just produce, but meats, all the things, breads, y'all, candles. I mean, they're doing a lot at the farmers market now. They're doing a lot, and I love it. And anytime I can't buy something at the farmers market, I take a picture of their card, or I scan their QRC code so I can remember, like, okay, because I definitely want to check that out later. Okay, so yes, I definitely recommend With Love, Megan. I love that show. I know she's got some haters, but for right now, for what everything is going on right now, it's a nice little escape. And that's what I definitely suggest people to do. Think about, like, with everything going on in your life, in the world, it's so easy to get bogged down in it. And that's why the quaint and cozy lifestyle, what I like about it is that you can go and things I've been doing with everything going on is, now, again, this is not my cooking podcast, but I've been going over my appetizers, finger food, buffet, and party book. And I bought this back in, I think, 2009, 2010. But I've been going back over that. And then, of course, I've got my Year of Wonder book that I got at Basement Books KC, the used bookstore. And it's like classical music to enjoy day by day. So it's one of those calendar things where you pick a day and you listen, like, it'll give you a suggestion for every day of the year. So today is March 7th. So they're suggesting that I listen to Piano Concerto in G major, Adagio Assai, I think, by Maurice Ravel. And, that's the person that did like the bolero, like that. And so they write an essay about it. So there's a whole essay about this. And no, I haven't gotten every day. Like I've done a couple of days and then I kind of forget I have it because I've kind of got it back on my table here because I've got so much going on. But it is one of those things where I feel like if it's snowy day, because it still snows in March here in Kansas City, or if it's a rainy day or you just don't want to leave your house, it's a nice thing to kind of read through, because again, there's no law saying that you can't just read through these essays and kind of listen to the music, even if it's not on the day that you chose, that it's actually the day. You can maybe choose a day in April or September or something like that. So I do stuff like that. And also in my last episode, I was geeking out about this puzzle right here. my puzzle that I got, and this is when I went to the Museum of Kansas City, which I discussed in a previous episode, and they have this cute little gift shop. I believe it's called Wisteria. You guys, the stained, you look up, you see the stained glass. Like, the shopkeeper was so helpful. And, all the people that were coming in there, we were all just kind of like, the guests were like, oh my gosh, this is beautiful. I could have stayed in there all day, but I knew there's still more things I needed to see in that museum. And again, that museum, to recap, is a great place now parking can be a little iffy, but still go in the daytime. Great place. Start off at 11 a.m. Go see some things. They have this cute little downstairs soda fountain that they actually do serve like food. And they serve some bites there, and check that out. And they're going to have a DJ there. I think I want to say the weekend nights, look that up, Museum Kansas City, but it's just a whole vibe. There's a billiards room. It's a whole vibe. You just go there at 11 a.m., hang out, and it's a daytime date. It's a cute daytime date. Perfect for, those teenagers that can't drive yet, or, some older folks that, you drop off grandma, grandpa, auntie, uncle, drop them off there. And, they can spend a couple of hours there, and and they've got elevators too, because they do have 3 floors of like art. So, they do have elevators. I was taking the stairs because I wanted to take pictures of the architecture. There's just beautiful architecture in there. I'm always a sucker for a vintage architecture thing, but just a great place to go. That's the Museum of Kansas City. I talked about it in a previous episode, but I got this puzzle, Ticket to Ride, and it's kind of like it's like from the time of the Civil War, a little bit after, probably a little bit more Reconstruction, but it's like all the tickets, like all the train tickets. So I'm really excited to, cause it's, it's on my table. I start to take it out, then I get super busy, but I'm definitely going to get this out and keep it out, because what I do for puzzles is, you do the thing where you kind of open it, like I'm opening it right now. It's open here. You start kind of noodling with it, and then you get distracted if you're me, or you're like, oh, this is not going as fast as I thought it was going to go. I don't want to end up losing a piece underneath my table. That used to happen to me when I was a kid. I'd be like, there's like 5 pieces missing. And my grandma would be like, we'll go look underneath, certain things. Cause they share that big grandma furniture where like the kind of like the legs of it, it could like house somebody, or it was just like the arches were so high. So I'm always very nervous, am I gonna is it gonna slide underneath my couch? Cause I bumped into my table and stuff fell, and I didn't really notice that it fell. So now I'm underneath my couch trying to get it out. I'm telling on myself, you guys. But puzzles are another great way during this time. Keep things quaint and cozy. I've been doing candles as well. You gotta be careful with candles. You wanna be in the same room with the candle, because so much can happen. But getting the nice little votives, all of that, and just kind of sitting in my house. I've been going out a lot, but I've also, been having quiet time. And there was a time a couple months ago where I was going out every weekend, and 3 days a week were booked. All of my weekends were just booked solid. Like Friday night booked, Saturday 3 different places booked, Sunday 2 different places booked. And I mean, again, I was having fun and it was good to get out, but then at some point my social battery just ran all the way out, and it was like, oh my gosh. Okay, now I'm gonna wrap this up, and I'll tell you, I'll finish my story from last Saturday. So Excelsior Springs, got in my car, headed to the Johnson County area, and one of my dear friends lives there. We've been friends since 2013, and so that's my movie person. And so what we did was we saw Captain America. Now I liked it. At first I wasn't sure if I was gonna like it, because Marvel, to me, it's just been getting kind of like a little tedious for me, because I am such a comic book nerd, but I feel like I did too much with it. I was watching too many comic book movies and stuff, and I just kind of got burnt out on it. But what I appreciated about this Captain America, now it is the Sam, who used to be Falcon, is Captain America, and there's a new Falcon he's training, and there's all these people. What I liked about it is it felt real, right? Because, this Captain America does not have superpowers. His Falcon does not have superpowers. They are working on their military training and their grit and all that other stuff. And I really kind of liked that, because he is a human, and it kind of gave more of a human story, which I definitely appreciated. Because I saw it in the daytime, I'll give it a B plus because it's a perfect daytime Saturday movie. But if I would have done it as a date night, like a Saturday night thing or Friday night thing, I would be like a little like, I just expect a little bit more. So if you're going at night, C plus, right? If date night, C plus. I mean, it's nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's actually kind of sort of family friendly. I mean, if you're bringing the whole family, but like a date night thing, I'm giving it a C plus if you're going in the nighttime. So then after that, you're like, girl, what, you just were running, you're just running the streets? I was running the streets. So then we went to El Pulgarcito, and that's kind of in the Merriam area, on the Kansas side of Casimo. And I love going there. I got just like regular tacos. And the reason why it's like El Salvadorian food, the reason why I like it is when you walk into the parking lot, you're already feeling more relaxed. And that parking lot was packed. Like I had to park near the back and like walk around, and that's a good sign for them because, you know, restaurants are struggling right now. But I love it. You go inside, it's just bright sky blue everywhere, just bright colors, all of this like Central American art. You really feel like, and it's like, it's a loud, quiet restaurant. It's not, people aren't hollering or yelling, but there's definitely, you got the regulars there going there. And then, you know, you've got like just people that are new. You can always tell the new people because they're asking a lot of questions, as they should. But so I just got like regular tacos there, and I think I got like a little bit of rice as well. I think I got like the street taco situation. Well, they're not street tacos, but they were just like, I think I got 3 tacos. I got 2 of the beef tacos, and then I got a chicken taco. But so it was really good. And then I got it with the rice and washed it down with like an iced tea. But it was, I just like the vibe there. Definitely recommend it for the vibe. Great for a date night. Great for like, you know, a late kind of lunch, early dinner situation. And then after that, I ran home, I changed, and then I headed on out to karaoke night at Aaron's Pub, which I'd never been to before. It's off 291 in Independence, and it was someone's birthday. And so, you know, I got there, I think it started around 7:30, but it was like reserved. So I got there maybe like 6:45 or something like that, because, you know, I wanted to make sure I had parking and, you know, that I was all settled because I'd never been there before. I got mozzarella sticks there. I will say this about the mozzarella sticks. They're not bad. It's not that, but like they're kind of like, it's a thicker cheese. And usually I'm used to like a mozzarella sticks that are like thinner, and the cheese is just a little thinner. I mean, it was still good. I ate those mozzarella sticks. Okay. They were gone. Okay. Not a scrap were left of them. But again, like I just want to tell people that's the kind of mozzarella sticks you're working with, because, you know, mozzarella sticks are, they're something, the people that really love them, we are very particular about how they are, and we're very like descriptive. Like people ask me, how are those mozzarella sticks? I'm like, well, let me tell you, because there's a difference between when they do the mozzarella sticks, they call them that, but they're like the triangles, or sometimes they do them and they're more like, they look like calamari. I've seen some, I'm like, what is this? Like, I do not understand what this is. But anyways, I liked Aaron's Pub. We did karaoke. It was fun. There was like an upper room situation that we had. We had the tables up there reserved. It was fun. And then the people down there were playing pool. And it was just kind of a mellow spot that you go to. It reminded me of like a neighborhood bar spot that you go to like on a Saturday night. You're like, what are you guys doing? It's like, you know, I want to do something, but I don't want to just sit in, you know, I don't want to be like dressed up. I just kind of want to go and put on some jeans and like a cute top and just hang out for a couple hours. Maybe sing some karaoke. Their karaoke started around 8:45, 9 o'clock. So yeah, I was there. I think I sang like 3 songs, and it was just a lot of fun. I started feeling my voice because, again, the weather change and all of the post-nasal drip that I was experiencing like everybody else. I was like, you know what? I felt my voice go, so I only did 3 songs, and I actually left earlier than most people that were there. But I did have a really good time. It was a lot of fun. I'm really glad that I went. And I do want to say, like, on that Friday night, like, just to kind of, I went to Brass Rail, and that is in the Northland, because we kind of had like a birthday party for somebody that was out of town. It was like one of those things where your person's out of town, but it's their birthday, so you want to FaceTime them, all that stuff. But it's a lot of fun. And I mean, I had like their salad. They had a nice kind of like Caesar salad situation there. I got a small Caesar salad and some mozzarella sticks. really, and their mozzarella sticks are really good. They had the right amount of breading and the right amount of that cheese consistency, and the sauce was really good. And Brass Rail is it's a place like that in the Northland where you just like, hey, what are you doing? And because we're not really like, football's not in season right now, and I think basketball, but it's not like really like, we're not really into March Madness yet, so we're not doing the big dance stuff yet. So it's pretty, you know, you can kind of go in and get a seat, but it does fill up pretty quickly because they do have a pretty good happy hour. And it's in a strip mall, like, well, it's near a strip mall that's got the movie theater. So if you want to go to like I always say, listen, go have your lunch at Brass Rail, then run to your movie. And then there's like a Chinese spot that is in the same kind of shopping mall, the China Hut shopping mall. And it is so good. Like, I love that place. I think I've reviewed it for Quaint and Cozy KC when I was still doing those food reviews. So on that note, thank you guys so much, and I cannot wait to go to. I'm so geeked up for Atchison. Oh my gosh, I'm so geeked up for Atchison, and I will definitely be posting pictures on Quaint and Cozy KC on my Facebook page and some on my Instagram. Instagram gets weird sometimes if I post too many pictures. That's why you don't see too much. I will definitely do like a slideshow here. I'm kind of debating on whether or not to try to do like a live walking tour, but when I do that stuff, I get so caught up in trying to film everything perfectly that I miss out on the things I'm trying to see. So maybe what I do is the next time I go to Atchison, I might do something like that. Like when I go to revisit some of these places, because I will be revisiting them, I'll go and do that. But for now, I really actually want to see it for myself and experience it for myself. Okay, everyone, take care, and I'll talk to you soon.